Hey, everybody. It's your host, Felipe. You're listening to the Total Basis Podcast. I am back after a 2-week hiatus. Not a hiatus, a vacation. So
Hi, Felipe. Welcome back.
Hey, Felipe. Welcome back. How's it going? Well, you heard that voice. That is Sean Flannery. Sean, how you doing this morning?
Oh, we're here another lovely day to talk some baseball. My fantasy teams aren't doing off to the greatest start, but hey, it's still April. Anything can happen. I'm not stressing about it.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about my teams either, so that I understand where you're coming from. Our other host, our co-host, is Austin Spiro. Austin, how you doing this morning?
I'm all right. Baseball is back, so and it's in full swing. So I'm excited. My teams are pretty. You know what? I'm actually pretty happy all around. The three leagues that I got, I'm 1-0. And then I'm 0-1 in the Total Bases Champions League, but it was a slugfest. So I can't complain about it. And then in the Mardi Gras League, I'm 1-1. I actually got a win with the crappy draft that I had.
So, put it on the board.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know how many wins I'm going to get, but I got one, so I'm not shut out. So I'm happy.
Well, I think I'm about to get my first win of the season in the Mardi Gras League. I'm fighting Jake Hibbert in the podcast league, the over at ESPN. I'm just barely winning that game, and I'm getting blown out by the Step Back podcast. It was Leon in the Monday through Thursday game, and now it's Jacob in the Friday to Sunday game. So I'm getting my asses whipped by the basketball podcast. So what does that say about us? Maybe they should be hosting here.
They crossed you over and then stepped back on you. Like, damn, just back to back, double move.
They stumped me in the nuts. That's what they did. But it's been a weird league. I mean, I saw Henry, our fearless leader. Henry was also complaining that his players are not performing. So everybody's upset right now. So, but never fear. We are here for better or for worse to talk about, hey, you know what? It's a little bit early for the pitchers, but let's talk about some hitters that might be available on the waiver wire, according to CBS Sports fantasy website. As you know, Sean, I like using their website because I feel like, you have to pay to play with those guys. It's not like a free league at Yahoo, at ESPN, where nobody takes it seriously. At CBS, you got to take it seriously because you pay for it. And the idea is that if you pay for it, you'll take it more seriously. And I kind of like their ownership rates there. They seem to be a little bit more on the nose for competitive leagues like ours. So we kick things started with Thairo Estrada, who has been playing every day, it seems like, for the San Francisco Giants. He qualifies at all types of positions. Let me see, where does he qualify, Thairo Estrada?
He was like another big favorite of Vince Mercandetti when he was with the Yankees, because he was he was one of those always putting the balls in play, and the Yankees were like, no, we don't do that here. And then they shipped him out.
So he qualifies at both middle infield spots, second base and shortstop. He's been playing regularly, it seems like. Let's see, according to Roster Resource.
Second base.
Every day at second base, either batting sixth or seventh. So, Sean, I ask you, is at 37% ownership rate, is he worth stashing despite the low batting averages and low on-base percentages?
I mean, he's one of those, it's a plus lineup. So he might is basically like picking up the 6 or 7 hitter of the Houston Astros several years ago, like Marwin Gonzalez. Like, it might not be great, but he might be sneaky in terms of his runs and RBIs. He's already got 12 runs, 9 RBIs. I don't think he's going to be a 250, 290 guy, but offense is down across the board. And the fact that he has a 255, 293, 400 slash line, that's 5% better than league average. That's just where offense is this year. So we got to take everything with a grain of salt. He's a professional hitter. He's a tough hitter. They played the Mets and he went to the opposite field a couple of different times in RBI situations. That San Francisco team is just, even though the Mets took 3 out of 4 from them, I can tell they're going to cause a lot of issues again this year. I don't think they were a fluke. I think Rodon is making me eat a lot of crow because he looked great and he's leading the league in strikeouts, I think, last time I looked. But Thairo Estrada, maybe as like a middle infielder in a 15 team, maybe a 12, depending on, your desperateness.
And the most important thing about him is that he steals bases. That's why he has so much value right now. Austin, anything else you want to add about Thairo Estrada before we move on?
The only thing that I'm worried about is, in my opinion, his swing percentage is low. He's swinging at right now. He's swinging at 48.6% of the pitches that are thrown to him. That's his swing percentage. His outside the strike zone swing percentage is, I mean, we're only 16 games into the season, but his outside the strike zone swing percentage is 6% higher, and his inside the strike zone swing percentage is 2% lower. So that's the only thing that is kind of worrisome for me. His overall contact percentage is 76.9%. So I feel like some of it, but he is in a plus lineup. But the thing that gets me is he too patient to stash? Is my thing. So I don't know if I would necessarily be chomping at the bit for Thairo Estrada.
I kind of found him to be a little bit a little on the aggressive side. So I mean, it kind of makes sense for a guy of his stature and a guy who puts the ball on the ground a lot. He's at 60%. That's the big concern for me, is the 60% ground ball rate and the low hard hit rates. But that's what you expect from a scrawny speedster, right? So I mean, that's par for the course. But I thought he was more on the aggressive side with those percentages.
I think he's one of those like selectively aggressive, like, you know, depending on the count.
Yeah,
I'd have to dig into it, but I think that's kind of more the hitter he is.
Yeah, let me double check something here. So, is this Thairo Estrada? Oh, this is Marco Estrada.
Oh, that changeup though was a goodie for a long time.
Marco Estrada. Oh, you know, I'm thinking Marco Scudero now.
Oh God,
another former Giant.
I want to say we talked about Marco Scudero for a long episode last year.
Why would we?
I don't know. I think he just came up. Like it was one of those. He just came up.
All right. So Thairo Estrada career, he's around 35% outside the swing strike zone percentage and 49% swing percentage. So that's 2022. That's right in his career mark. That's right in his career mark. So it's nothing too alarming. The contact rates are low, but I'm pretty sure they're low everywhere else in this wacky baseball league that we're in. So, but no, other than that, I mean, I don't like him for obvious reasons, but hey, if you're desperate for stolen bases and you can deal with the low on base percentage from right now, have at it. Go ahead. We move on to the Phillies and Alec Bohm, who's owned in 54%. So we're only doing 60% or less here. And as of right now, he's Alec Bohm is at 54%. And it looks like he's starting almost every day. Austin also hitting at the bottom portion of the Phillies lineup. Alec Bohm, former prospect. Do you like him or not?
I think I'm a little turned off on Alec Bohm because I had him, I believe, last year and he tanked for me. So I'm not too high on Alec Bohm, but I mean, his prospect report, he's up to a 70 hit tool, but right now he looks like he's rated at a 55. But I mean, if you're rated to be he's got a high ceiling.
Yeah.
So you could, bank on that he's going to turn it on sometime, but the Phillies are just disappointing. But that's also another plus lineup because you have Harper, you have Schwarber, and you have Castellanos.
Yeah,
you have a plus lineup. You have some protection around there, so it gives Bohm the opportunity to up his game a little bit because they're probably going to give him some pitches to hit. His ground ball percentage is at about 53% this year. Fly ball percentage is right around it's 2% lower than his career mark. I guess if you want to bank on potential, I would pick up Alec Bohm, but I like I said, I think I'm a little biased because Alec Bohm killed me last year. So I'm not super high on him, but I mean, his swing percentage and his contact percentage is higher than Thairo Estrada. So,
yeah, I think most people would rather Alec Bohm than Thairo Estrada, but obviously two separate positions. One's middle infield, one's corner infield. But
the other thing is, I think he's sort of, and I don't know if you want to say sort of in competition. I believe we talked about this last week or a couple weeks ago. Is Brian Stott has also been playing a little bit of third base, or Stott, or whatever you want to call him.
He lost out like that. That's why Bryson Stott is showing up on our most dropped list here. and I know we haven't got there yet. But
we're not focusing on the drop list here.
Bohm has mainly supplanted Stott. Because they were just in a competition basically, and with Bohm off to such a hot start, they've kind of given him the most run.
Yeah,
he's been playing every day, like I said, almost every day of the week here. So maybe this is the turnaround. He's off to a pretty surprising good start. I mean, he's hitting a 393 average, 417 on base percentage. So maybe he's turning around the corner, but like Austin mentioned, those batted balls, that's a little concerning for a guy who's supposed to have a lot of power, a lot of pop in his bat. 53% ground ball rate. That's a little too high for my blood, but we got to love him for that ceiling. So we'll also someone that you should probably go out and get before it's too late.
Yeah. And that average and everything is pretty much backed up. 375 expected batting average, 94.7 average EV. 53.5% hard hit percentage. He's cut down on the strikeouts. He's always been a pretty good walks guy. So yeah, as long as his defense isn't so intolerably bad that it takes him off the field, he's going to be in the lineup. Because of course, when they were playing the Mets, he had that 3-error game. The cameras caught him saying, "I fucking hated here," language, but that was what he said. And then after the game, the reporters came up to him and he actually owned it. He just said, yeah, I said it. I was worked up. I was pissed off. And then the next day he was back in the lineup. And as he walked into the box, the stadium, it wasn't a Bronx cheer. It wasn't like we're laughing at you. He walked into the box and got a standing ovation. And I'm like, that's kind of awesome. Like, he owned up to it. The fans recognized he was being real and honest, and they gave him an applause, and he's gone off to this very quick, very hot start.
All right. It's the Phillies. I also thought I'm still convinced it was more of a sarcastic cheer, but it was a nice moment. Alec Baum got a little chuckle and smirk out of it. So that was a really cool moment for him. And who knows, maybe that turned around his season. Yeah,
I mean, that could have gone a whole lot worse, too. If, he had just BS'd it in the interview, and then he went out there, then he would have just gotten showered with booze, and then the cycle just devolves.
He could have gotten trash thrown at him.
Oh goodness. I won't say anything. I'm not going to say anything.
Well, thank God he doesn't play for the Yankees, because he would have gotten batteries thrown at him.
I thought I saw a sock with some bars of soap getting thrown onto the field.
What is this, Full Metal Jacket? Austin, let's see. We're not really going to talk about all these players because we'll be here all day. So I'll give you a choice. We got either Jock Peterson, Taylor Ward, or Brandon Marsh. Lots of Angels here. Pick one player to talk about there.
I think because of the most potential to be the better of the three, I'm going to go with Brandon Marsh.
Good choice.
He had a home run last night. I saw that.
He did hit a home run last night. I would, out of those three, I would go with Brandon Marsh. Jock Peterson strikes out too much for my taste, and he is very, very streaky. Taylor Ward has had his chance to be good. Now he is off to a pretty good start. I believe he's hit a couple home runs already, but Brandon Marsh has the most potential to be good. He's going to steal bags for you. Right now he's hitting 306 with a 400 OBP and a 556 slugging. He's got a 414 WOBA. He has 2 home runs so far this year. He did hit one last night. His walk percentage is at 11.1%, and his strikeout percentage is way down. It's at 20% right now. And his isolated power is up at 250. So this could be a chance. And I think what is really going to help Brandon Marsh is, and I believe I said this a couple weeks ago, is the fact that they don't have Justin Upton anymore really helps out Brandon Marsh and his ability to be able to play on at least a semi-regular basis, and being protected in the lineup with people like Rendon and Trout and Ohtani and, bats like that around the lineup. And hitting is contagious. The Angels are leading the league in home runs right now. So I think Brandon Marsh has the best potential, or has the most potential to be the best out of those three. And on top of that, he'll at least attempt to steal bags. I think Brandon Marsh is the best out of those three.
Hard to argue. The only problem I have with him is that he he's not playing every day. He's in a platoon system with, I don't know, who would it be? Joe Adele, maybe.
Yeah,
It is Joe
Adele
Adele.
and
Yeah.
Hello,
it's me.
it's me. How
Oh
you
God,
been?
no. That's it. Yeah, you are cut off. Don't. Whatever.
Hello from Riverside.
I don't want to be on this planet anymore.
You ever hear my original
I think
version of that? It's actually, I want another piece of pie.
Oh God.
Go ahead, Austin.
I think the other person that's playing in the outfield, I know Tyler Wade is eligible for the outfield. I don't know how much outfield he's played. But I mean, the only other outfielder they have on their bench that's in a platoon is Adele. So it would be Adele and Marsh. But
yeah, I'm hoping that
now
Marsh.
they have Taylor Ward as their starting right fielder.
Yeah, he's been playing right field just about every day last time I looked.
Yeah. So I feel Taylor Ward is off to a hot start, but I feel like if Taylor Ward falls off, that's going to be Marsh's position to take.
Yeah, assuming he keeps playing like this, and the walk percentages are right in line with his minor league numbers. So I'm excited about that. You mentioned the stolen bases already. A lot to like here for Brandon Marsh. Anything you need to add there, Sean, before I ask you?
It blows my mind that Taylor Ward's only 28, because I feel like we've been talking about him. He was supposed to be the uber athletic catcher.
Yeah.
And now it's nice to see him breaking out. He's super high walk rate, probably unsustainable at that level, but he's not chasing.
Did you say catcher? I remember him as a second baseman.
No, he can play catcher. He's
like an emergency catcher now, but yeah.
Huh. I always saw the reports as him being a second baseman, but okay. Yeah, that's good to know.
He's a catcher outfielder.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, he basically plays everywhere. They've said his catching days are basically done, but in an emergency, he can throw on the tools of ignorance. But yeah, 99th percentile expected WOBA, expected batting average, walk rate, all in the 99th percentile. Is this
Taylor Ward or Brandon Marsh?
Taylor Ward. Taylor
Ward. Okay.
Yeah, he's not swinging, missing. He's doing that at an above average, and then not chasing. That leads to a near 22% walk rate. That's solid, and he's got good speed. The speed has come down a little bit over the years, but he still has good speed. One stolen base so far this year. As long as he gets playing time, he could be a really interesting piece. But Jock Peterson, I think at the end of the year, it'll be over less plate appearances because San Francisco does so much platooning. But it could be like Lamont Wade Jr. last year, where his numbers are really, really good. But then you go back and you look, and it was only 400 plate appearances. But it was a really good 400 plate appearances.
Yeah. Peterson, 34%, Taylor Ward, 21%, Brandon Marsh, 42%. I'll have to agree with Austin here. I think out of those three, I would go with Brandon Marsh, just an upside alone. And the plate discipline is right there with what I normally like from my hitters there. All right, Sean, here's your question. I got three catchers for you. Three of them.
One, two, three. Wonderful catchers.
You've got to pick one, though. So here we go. Zach Collins, Austin Nola, or Jonah Heim of the Texas Rangers. Pick one.
I really like none of those, but I probably would pick Heim just because I like I believe he's still a switch hitter. I think he's still switch hitting. He's off to a hot start. I don't think it's sustainable, obviously, but I would probably just pick Jonah Heim because Zach Collins. That's just a part-time 1C catcher, and then Austin Nola I've avoided like the plague, just because for some reason San Diego keeps wanting to play him. They have Campuzano. I mean, I don't know why Nola's still getting run, but here he is. They gave up a lot to Seattle for him. Yeah, I'm not a fan of him. It's a low. It's the low. Yeah.
Was that the Taylor Trammell deal? It doesn't matter.
It probably was. It probably was.
Anyway, go ahead. So Jonah Heim, what can you tell us about Jonah Heim then?
Switch hitter, big bodied catcher. I was kind of worried about him. I liked him for a bit of a breakout. He's young, only 26 years old. And I was worried when they traded for Garver that he wouldn't play that much. He already has, he's only played in 7 of the, basically half the games, 25 plate appearances, 3 walks to 2 strikeouts, already has 2 home runs in those 25 plate appearances. So we'll see how he was a part of he was in Oakland originally, and I think he was part of one of those deals. It was with Chris Davis, the deal that brought Chris Davis the salary dump to Texas. But
okay.
yeah, I don't know. He's just younger. I believe in the potential a little bit more. He posted some pretty good numbers in the minors, especially the upper minors in AAA, where he spent a good amount of the last few years.
Okay, moving on then. Let's see what else we got. Adam Frazier, speaking of the Mariners, Adam Frazier is now owned in 42% of leagues. Wasn't this guy supposed to be a can't miss, must draft player back in March?
I mean, I think he was supposed to, because he got off to such a great start last year. And then once he got traded to San Diego, he kind of just went back to being the normal Adam, very boring Adam Frazier. And instead of batting 330, he was batting 270. And this year he's 242, 309, 339 slash line. And guess what? That's still 1% above league average. He not going to hit for power. He's got one stolen base. I don't know. I guess you're just hoping that he sticks at the top of the Seattle lineup and everybody else around him hits.
He has, by the way, he's been hitting at the very top of that Mariners lineup every single day. So
that's probably the rub there. I mean,
the rub.
His walk percentage is kind of low. It's at 7.4%. His K percentage though is low.
Yeah, that's always been the type of hitter.
So he's not going to walk, but he's not going to strike out either. He's going to make contact. But the problem is
it good contact?
Is it good contact? That's the thing. So, and by the looks of his average, I mean, average is down all over the league. So, I don't particularly like that. But what I do like is it seems like his batted ball percentages are a little more balanced than some of the others that we were looking at. His ground ball percentage is at 40.4%. His fly ball percentage at 36.5%. His line drive percentage is a little lower than I want it to be, 23.1%. But, it looks like he's spraying the ball all over the field.
Yeah. With someone with like Frazier, I think I'd rather them have a 60% ground ball rate than a 36% fly ball rate, just with how ineffectual the contact is, but he has the ability to spray it around. So
listen, man, with someone with Frazier, I expect a lot of Kelsey Grammer references. They're calling again. Selleck's and scramble eggs. Good night, Seattle. And but Austin brings up an interesting point, because usually the guys who are able to have these what do you call it, very differing line drive, ground ball, and fly ball rates, along with being the ability to spray the ball all over the place, having that 30% of pull, center, and oppo spray chart. Those guys usually come with a very high BABIP, which usually is very advantageous to a hitter like Adam Frazier. And we saw what happens when he has that advantage. He is able to hit for a very high batting average. Well, for him, it is at 305. And it comes, since most of his a high batting average for Adam Frazier also equals a high on base percentage, which should also help in on base percentage league. So that is what you would be waiting for. Other than that, this is a pretty boring player, but it's just kind of funny that top of the lineup and can't take advantage of his situation.
Yeah, coming into this year, he had a 313 career BABIP to go along with his 281 average. This year, that BABIP is down to 288, which with him hitting more fly balls than he ever has, it's not a shock. Fly balls usually decrease BABIP pretty drastically.
Oh, yeah.
He's down to a 288 BABIP with a 242 average. The expected batting average, I believe, is pulling it up, 266, and he's batting 242, so not that far off. Like I said, I think he's better off not hitting so many fly balls with how light he hits it.
Yeah, he's 83 exit velocity. All right, wait, you know what though? We go from one Mariners player to another before it gets too late. JP Crawford, owning 59% of leagues. He's the guy I use to let people know that we would be on at the top of the hour. So let's talk about JP Crawford. Once, what was he, a first round pick? Yes, he was. First round pick for the Phillies. Kind of a bust of a player, and now he's kind of resurrected a little bit in Seattle. Sean, is he for real, or is this just a flash in the pan performance here by JP Crawford?
I mean, I want to say we talked about him on one of the shows in the preseason,
right.
and it was one of those, like, I said that, hey, he had 169 hits, which was like upper third, upper really probably less than that. And I was like, his batting average affects it more than you would think. He had a solid walk rate. He was batting towards the top of the Mariners lineup. This year, he's doing a lot of the same, not striking out, walking a good bit. I mean, he's at a 14.3 walk percentage and has only struck out 4% of the time. That's one of the best strikeout rates in the league. He doesn't hit the ball hard. He's hitting the ball a little bit less on the ground, more line drives. That's all a good thing. And he's not whiffing as much. So, I mean, he's only 27. So another one of these guys who is a top prospect for what feels like forever, only 27. He's still in his prime. He's never going to be the power speed 30-30 that a lot of people possibly projected for him. But that doesn't mean he's not a quality major leaguer. But being a quality major leaguer doesn't mean you're a great fantasy asset either. I think this is a guy who you would plug in at middle infield if you had an injury or something. And he's not going to hurt you, but he's not going to get you ahead either.
Yeah, 81.8 exit velocity, by the way. That's a career low for him since they started keeping track of this stuff. So that's kind of concerning.
But a 335 expected batting average.
Hey,
expected batting average loves those soft, like 85-mile-an-hour line drives. It's the little over the infield in front of the outfielders. They love that shit.
So what's Adam Frazier's expected batting average? I look at me quickly.
It was 264, 260 something, and he was batting 244.
Yeah, 242, 266. You're right about that.
But Frazier's hitting more fly balls. Crawford's hitting more line drives.
Interesting. Austin, let's move on to you. I have a question to ask you. Let's go with Sheldon. And how do you say Sheldon?
Noisy.
I think it's noisy.
Noisy, yeah, noisy, something like that. I've heard it both.
Ugly player, ugly name, but you're out there in the West Coast. Have you seen how much
you just straight called him an ugly player?
Have you seen the number of strikeouts he's had? I mean, that's ugly to me. I mean, it's
I thought you were just saying he was like physically ugly.
Well, the jury's still out. I haven't had a good look at him, and he could be pretty ugly. He could be pretty ugly. But no, really, it's I just saw the images on the other screen here. But no, the thing about him is he does come with a high strikeout rate from what I checked. But I don't know, maybe Austin can humor me a little bit. You're out there on the West Coast. What have you seen and heard about Sheldon Noisy?
Not much. I mean, I've heard a little bit about him when he was a prospect in Oakland. He got traded to the Dodgers. He's now back on Oakland. But he was touted for a long time as a higher prospect in the Oakland system.
It's not saying much.
He was traded to the Dodgers in I don't remember who they got.
It was 2021. It was the Adam Kolarek and Cody Thomas to Oakland for Noisy and Varland, who I never even heard of Gus Varland in my life.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and he hasn't played much. He's mostly played in the minors. In 2019, he played 25 games for the A's. He didn't play at all in 2020. And then he played 33 games for the Dodgers in 2021. So this is really his first taste of getting some starts and some playing time, consistent playing time in the majors, and it's only because Oakland has traded away everybody and their mother. So, I mean, what I'm looking at in his numbers right now, he's not hitting the ball very hard. Out of his 14 hits, he has 12 singles and he has 13 strikeouts. So what I'm seeing here is he's either going to hit a single or he's going to strike out. He seems like Joey Gallo with no power.
Which is ironic because that was his calling card, was that he could hit for power at the middle infield position.
Yeah, and it's not looking that way. I mean, I'm looking at the minors right now. He started out as in the Nationals in the single A system. He hit 1, 9, and then 7 home runs respectively. I mean, the only bit of power that I'm seeing is in 2019 AAA in 126 games, he hit for 27 homers. Other than that, all of his home runs are in single digits. He's not, I don't think he's going to hit for power. I think he's a contact Joey Gallo. What I'm looking at right now, I don't really care for noisy or noise or whatever. We're going to go back we're going to go to Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Andy Samberg. Noise. See, I can bring out the pop culture reference.
Chills, literal chills.
His isolated power is at 0.089, even though he's batting at a 311, 380, 400 slash line. I really don't see this as sticking. I think this is kind of a flash in the pan. He's doing really well. If you want to pick him up for a week or two while he rides this hot streak, fine. But once he stops hitting the ball, get rid of him, because I don't think it's gonna last.
Okie dokie. Let's go on then to, well, at 35%, everybody's favorite player from that first week of the season, actually first day of the season, Seth Beer. Sean.
Seth Beer.
35%. I would assume that his stock would have risen since that first week, but it looks like he's still widely available. Is this the last chance to get a Seth Beer before he blows up, or is there a reason?
I would think so. I feel like he's cemented himself as their designated hitter. He's pretty sure he's still towards the top of the league in batting average. If I could find it. Yeah, he's 16th at batting 375. Of course, there's like 20 million people and their mothers batting above 350 right now, while everybody else can't hit a beach ball. But yeah, Seth Beer, I've liked since his time in the minors. Kind of reminded me, especially coming out of college. He was really good at Clemson. He was really, really good at Clemson. Just kind of like that Yordan Alvarez, the lefty slugger. I don't know. I think he's probably overperforming a wee bit right now. I mean, but who isn't? That's doing really well. It's a small sample size.
Right.
But I think as long as he shows he can hit the left-handers, he's going to be in there every day. If he's not playing every day and he's only a DH, he's hard to roster and start. But if he's playing every day, it's not like he has a whole lot of competition in Arizona right now. They seem to be giving him all of the opportunities in the world. He's taking them and running with it. So might as well stick with him now.
Seth Beer, 6'3", 213 pounds. So yeah, he fits the part.
Yeah, he's just that built lefty, and the geared swing, just kind of easy pull power, easy to get into in games. I saw him play in Double A a little bit. I think he was coming off an injury, and he just looked a little gimped. And I was like, yeah, I was hoping he'd be better, but I'm glad to see him kind of getting it back on track.
All right.
I would like to petition that Jake Berger, Paul Fry, and Seth Beer all be on the same team.
I was looking for a third name, and thank you for bringing up Paul Fry.
Maybe we can petition the new Nashville team. They can be the Nashville Entrees, and we can put them on they can be all drafted in the expansion draft.
Well, speaking of guys with big bellies, not that Seth Beer has one.
Oh, the Mets are playing Arizona right now, and Seth Beer was on third base, scored on a sacrifice, or tried to score on a sacrifice fly. And Mets announcer Gary Cohen thought he was the slickest guy in the book, because Beer went back to tag up, and he said, Beer chugs his way halfway down the line. And he said it. Nobody, like Ron Darling, kind of went, huh. But nobody really noticed it. And I was like, he thinks he's slick because he said Beer and chugs.
It's a very, very starchy broadcast booth up in New York. Well, like I said, roll out the barrels because it's Daniel Vogelbach time. Also another first base. Looking back, I should have done Seth Beer, Daniel Vogelbach, or at Player X. But anyway, we're too deep in. Daniel Vogelbach, everyday first, actually designated hitter for your Pittsburgh Pirates at the very top of the lineup the last few days. So they're going to go with that approach of, hey, he sees a lot of pitches and he can potentially get a lot of high on base percentage. Austin, do you see it the same way that the Pirates see it with Daniel Vogelbach?
No, I don't.
No. What, you're not impressed with the 311, 380, and 556 triple slash line?
I mean, it's great, wonderful, woohoo! But you're on the Pirates, and there's a reason why you're on the Pirates. I've never really cared for Vogelbach. I mean, there was that 1 year in Seattle where he hit 30 home runs or whatever it is, but other than that, I'm not stoked about Vogelbach. I mean, he'll get you walks, but he's going to strike out quite a bit. But he's just his batting average is always been too low for me. I mean, he has not had a season batting average over 220 since his debut in 2016 with the Mariners. It's just, I do not
until this year.
Yeah.
He's batting 311. We're on a hot streak.
And members of 311.
13 games. Yeah, I don't see this. I would, out of the two, Seth Beer or Daniel Vogelbach, I would definitely go with Seth Beer over Vogelbach.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably do that too. But
nice callback. Yeah,
it's funny with Vogelbach though, is he was in the minors. He was a 287 hitter.
Yeah, and
this year, I mean, we're seeing kind of a lot of the same. Like he doesn't swing and miss. He's not chasing. He walks a good bit. He's almost too passive. We say this all the time with some of these lefty guys. Now, if I'm the Pirates, I know they're trying to do the whole big brain. Like, okay, big brain's probably a wrong thing to say with somebody Vogelbach's size, but like bat him like second or third. Like put like Ke'Bryan Hayes lead off or Brian Reynolds lead off, and put Vogelbach like in the middle. He's still going to get on base for other guys, but he can also knock some of them in. So yeah. I don't know. I've always liked him. I liked him in the minors. I liked him that year you're talking about. We're blinded.
All I keep hearing from Austin is that with the 311 batting average, he is down on Daniel Vogelbach.
Yeah.
Huh? 311?
Oh no, that one that one went past me, but I was like, I caught it like as it was going by.
At least I don't feel as old now.
Come on.
Nebraska's greatest rock band of all time.
Go back to Adele.
Hello from the
No, don't go back to Adele.
I actually do use Adele computer for work, so.
But no, I really liked. I had Daniel Vogelbach in that 2019 season when he did have the 30 home run year, especially off to such a crazy hot start. And him and Yandy Diaz were like my platoon at first base. And it was the most beautiful thing in the world because I never started Vogelbach against lefties. And he was like leading the league in first baseman in that like our point setting. And then I had to trade him. I traded him to Andrew, and it was a very sad day. But you know what? You gotta trade guys, even though you like them. Like I just traded Pavin Smith to a member of Baseball Life for Drew Rasmussen. Even though I had Rasmussen as a free agent like 2 years ago, I picked him up and then dropped him because I'm an idiot. So
it's okay, man. We forgive you. Really quick, just wanted to say Vogelbach, 83.9% contact rate from a big boy like that with a very patient approach. That is quite remarkable.
I'm telling you, he has this 1 year or 1 or 2 years where he's going to bat like 300 and he's not going to run. He's not going to do anything. He might not even hit for that much power, but I think there's a 300 season. Cause I mean, you don't bat nearly 300 in the minors over however many games. He played a lot. He was down there for a long time, almost 800 games. Like you don't bat almost 300 for 800 games and you just become a 210 hitter all of a sudden. Yeah, I don't think that.
He's always shown very good contact rate, which is really amazing for a guy of his stature and his build.
If anything, it could just be like a shift thing. There's more data on him in the majors and he's gotten killed by the shift, which he has, but I don't know.
Interesting.
The other thing that I'm seeing is his ground ball percentage is at 40 points. It's identical to his fly ball percentage. They're both at 40.6%. So he's either going to hit it on the ground or he's going to hit it in the air. Like there is no line drives. He's at 18.8%. He's either going to hit it on the ground or he's going to hit it in the air.
So you're using Fangraphs right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's always discrepancies because I'm looking at it right now. Right now, he's showing it should be the same for you as well. The lowest ground ball percentage since his breakout of 2019, which in 2019, he still only batted like 212, but he had a 33.7 ground ball percentage and a 28% line drive. This is the stuff I'm getting from Savant. And this year it's more fly balls, less line drives. I guess we'll see. But he's pulling the ball less. He's hitting it up the middle more. So
Yeah,
he's
I'm
kind of
seeing that
beating
too.
he's beating the shift. Because I just looked at his shift numbers. Yeah, he has a 450 WOBA against the shift, and they've shifted on him 84% of the time.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about Aaron Hicks?
I was going to ask about him earlier because I was kind of looking at him to pick up in a league. But you know, I was going to ask, what do you guys think about Aaron Hicks? Because I mean, he's off to a pretty decent start. He's making contact. I believe he's hitting at the top of that. I think they finally put him at the top of the lineup in what is a power-driven Yankees lineup. But
Yeah,
just too injury prone. Like, his injury history. I was going to ask, what do you guys think about that?
I would pick him up simply for the potential of batting in front of Stanton and Judge, because he's always been a pretty solid on base guy. But I mean, I'm not expecting him to hit. He had 1 year where he pushed 30 home runs in like 2018, but I just don't trust the health. I wouldn't rely on Aaron Hicks, but maybe if I had an open spot or something, I'd add him just as a curiosity.
I've always liked them too, but like you said, the injuries are always there. And yeah, you mentioned he's been batting leadoff, but then the last 2 games, the Yankees put him in the 6th spot. So there's no there's no consistent lineups
No.
in baseball anymore like they used to be, unless you're Danny Vogelbach for the Pirates and you're batting leadoff every game. But I always liked them. I always liked the skill set. I always liked the athleticism. I always liked the potential. He's 32 years old now. And the Yankees, they always have someone waiting to replace him. Their players, I guess I should say. So, but if you believe that he will come back with some power, like some legit power later on this season, then you got to go out and grab him while he's still available before it's too late. Speaking of grabbing someone before it's too late, Nolan Gorman. I'm seeing
he is on fire in the minors. It's stupid.
I'm so happy that I picked him up in the Mardi Gras league because I'm like, I can't wait for him.
And that's what I was going to get to right now. Was that a lot of the podcasts, everywhere, they're in love with Nolan Gorman. And right now he's at 34% ownership rate, but it just feels like he's about to, if you don't get him now, you might miss out on him later. But we gotta talk about this. Yeah, he's a really good prospect, but what happens when he mixes the Cardinals? And you know how the Cardinals are, they love also flipping and flopping their lineup around and very inconsistent here. Sean, how do you foresee the Cardinals using Nolan Gorman if he ever gets called up this season?
I mean, one, he would be shoehorned to second base. He's not playing third with Arenado on the roster. If he gets moved to second base, you start running into some issues with Edman and Edmundo Sosa. You'd probably see with how the hot start Sosa or Edman's up to, and he's already back to batting leadoff again, despite he had a terrible spring training. You'd probably see Edman go back to shortstop. Paul DeYoung, who's having a kind of solid year last I looked, he would probably get pushed to a bench role or at least a platoon. But with Nolan Gorman, it's one of those, he's off to a great start. He's still striking out 31% of the time.
Jesus Christ.
And this is like for sure a hot streak, but it's like Nolan Gorman is still Nolan Gorman. I mean, last year, that was the impressive thing was he had dropped that strikeout rate, but the power kind of went down with it. And he had dropped it to sub 20% for the first time in his minor league career in AAA. You don't see that very often where like it just progressively gets lower and then you post a career low at the highest level of the minors. But I don't know. I feel like it's fool's gold at this point, people reacting to a very hot start. But he's a guy who might have issues against major league pitching, if I'm being honest.
Austin, you're excited for him. Do you agree with Sean's assessment there, or are you holding on to him all the way to the moon here, as the kids would say?
I mean, I'm holding on to him in the Mardi Gras league simply because he is off to the hot start, and I mean, he's the best prospect that I could pick up that wasn't Sixto Sanchez, because I forget Sixto Sanchez. But when I'm looking at the roster resource right now. And I mean, the only thing, the thing that I agree in that he's not going to play third. He will probably play second, and Edman will be pushed out to the outfield. And in my opinion, that is either going to push Bader or Carlson into a platoon role. Carlson is off to a terrible start this year. The other thing that I can see is they have Gorman as a DH, because right now their DH is Corey Dickerson.
It's the Dickerson Pujols platoon.
Yeah. So I could see them maybe throwing him in as a DH so that he could focus on just hitting. But because if you're bringing up Nolan Gorman this year, that's what you're bringing him up on is his brute strength and his power. But I think with what they have, it's going to be really tough for him to crack the everyday starting lineup unless they just say screw it, put him at second base, or screw it, put him at DH.
They're not going to call him up to have him just play half the time. Granted, that might be the best way to use him, kind of how the Mets did with Conforto in 15, where they just don't show him to lefties and just kind of try and get him acclimated. I think platooning him at DH, I didn't even think about that really, but that would actually be a good idea. They would just have to bite the bullet on Dickerson and either trade him, cut him, or whatever.
Yeah. I think he's off to a hot start. I think if he continues off to a hot start, they're going to have no choice but to put him up there. But you can't very rightfully, you can't take away Edman. Edman's off to a hot start. I'm pretty sure they don't want to get rid of O'Neill. He's not playing third because Arenado's there. Those are the only two that I see happening.
Well, you know what this means. They'll just have to move to the outfield like everybody else, like we've been talking about.
But in their outfield's jam crowded though.
Tyler O'Neill, screw that guy. No, Cardinals are a very good team, man. Those are wonderful problems to have if you're a Cardinals fan. Let's see here. We're trying to figure out where I want to take this to, but I guess let's call it the fringe for first baseman or former first baseman. I got Roddy Tellez, Michael Chavis from the Pirates, or Hunter Dozier of the Royals.
Who's the second one you said? Rowdy Tellez,
Michael Chavis.
Oh, Chavis.
And Hunter Dozier. Well, since Sean's already talking, Sean, who would you want to talk about?
Oh, Rowdy. Who doesn't want to talk about Rowdy?
I don't know. Why do we need to talk about Rowdy Tellez?
Rowdy Tellez is fun. He's like Daniel Vogelbach Jr. And they were on the same team for a little bit last year.
Yes,
and he's actually a good defender. He's playing a lot of first base. He's already +2 outs above average at first base, proving that big boys can play defense. Routinely tops out in the max EV category, has again this year. He's a good hitter, 297 expected batting average, despite his actual 227 average. So he is underperforming right now. Let's see the batted ball. He has a basically career low ground ball percentage right at 40%. He's pulling it and shooting it up the middle. He's not going opposite field like he had the last 2 years. So we'll see how he does. But Rowdy Tellez is a really fun guy, and that Milwaukee lineup really hasn't clicked yet. They've had a couple of good games, the game where Yelich had a grand slam and there were a couple other home runs, but they haven't gotten on a hot streak. And I feel like when he gets on a hot streak, the rest of that lineup will kind of bounce around to the tune of Rowdy Tellez.
Usually with Rowdy Tellez, since he's such a big guy, you mentioned he's a fun guy, but with him, he needs mushroom to roam around.
No.
You're the one who brought it up, man. I'm sorry. Rowdy Tellez, the only concern is that he's listed as being a part of the platoon, but it is on the heavy side of thing. No pun intended there. Rowdy Tellez, 6'4",
so done with
pounds.
you. I'm so done with you.
Potentially, Keston Hiura might steal some at bats and playing time on the right-handed side. No, hey, listen, they're never gonna give up on Keston Hiura, former first-round pick. You know that once he figures out things, then they're gonna be, oh man, we gotta find more playing time for this guy.
When he figures out things, I'm gonna be on dialysis.
Ooh, wow.
It'll be a long time from now.
Oh, that's kind of red-blooded. Would you say that?
Gee.
What? What did I say?
Was
Would
he
you
really a
say-
first round? He was a first round pick.
Who, Kihira?
Yeah, I didn't know
Yeah.
he was a top 10 pick.
A top 10 pick for the Brewers in the
Oh, yeah.
June 2017
I
draft.
thought he was like a second or third round pick that just did really well.
And he's still striking out too much.
36. Hey, but that's down from last year. So it's an improvement.
His walks are up 16%.
And he has absolutely no power.
No, wait, exit velocity 94.7 miles, but come on.
But how many
94.7 miles.
is he hitting it into the ground?
Oh, let's see here. Is he Nick Madrigal is what you're asking. No, I mean he's line drives. Lots of line drives from Kessingura. So maybe he's turning the corner here.
And still striking out 36% of the time.
Man, you know what? Rome wasn't built in one day, man.
Out of these three, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't pick Rowdy Tellez when I'm looking at the three all together.
Okay.
I would go Chavis. I'd go Chavis because what I'm looking at on the compare feature there on Fangraphs, Michael Chavis and everything that I've clicked on, average, OBP, isolated power, stuff like that, and all of it, Michael Chavis is trending up, whereas Rowdy Tellez is trending down. So I don't know, based on potential and what I'm seeing over the last few seasons, I would go with Chavis based on, it seems like he's going to be the most likely to give me better results out of the three of those. Tellez has trended down, and Hunter Dozier, it seems like what I'm seeing on these graphs is you already know what you're going to get out of Hunter Dozier. What you see out of Hunter Dozier is what you're getting out of Hunter Dozier. But Michael Chavis is trending up while Rowdy Tellez is trending down.
Issue with Chavis right now is weak side of the platoon. He's always struggled against right-handed pitching. So he's basically platooning with Yoshi and Vogelbach right now at first.
Yoshi.
I was just thinking that too.
I knew the second I said it, somebody was going to say something.
Well, the thing about Chavis is that he can also play other positions as well. So he can, sub in for Josh Van Meter. Come on, Josh Van Meter. I don't think he's better than Michael Chavis. And then he's not going to, replace Ke'Bryan Hayes, but he could definitely start and give him a break every once in a while.
When it comes to Chavis, I feel like he had so many opportunities in Boston.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
It was just they tried to get him going. They tried so hard for like 2.5 years, and it just never happened. And then Bobby Dahlbeck and that whole crew just supplanted him basically, and he was dead meat.
All right, let's see. I want to get another theme going here. I guess we could talk about some outfielders. So I got a couple of outfielders to name. Okay, maybe more as I keep going here. Wait, let me double check something. Does this guy qualify?
Many outfielders to choose from. Sometimes it makes me mad.
Yeah. It almost makes me wonder why I drafted so many outfielders in the Mardi Gras League. I have 6 outfielders.
Outfielders is always the easiest position to find on waivers. That's why I'll draft like 4 in a 3 outfielder league, or I'll sometimes in a 5 outfielder league. I keep the 5, and then if I need help along the way, then whatever.
Tiny brain can't handle too many outfielders.
Yeah, and looking back, I should have drafted more infielders, but oh well. All right, here we go. Jorge Mateo, Austin. Hold on, Austin, pick one player. Jorge Mateo, Tony Kemp, Josh Naylor, or Luis Arias.
Arias. I'd go with Arias. Just because I have experience with him. I know he's dependable. He'll give you average. The only problem that I have is, for whatever reason, the Twins will not put him in the starting lineup, and I don't understand why.
Arias?
Yeah, he hasn't. I don't believe he's in the starting lineup. I believe.
No, yeah, he's been playing all over the place.
Has he? Because it seems like they don't put. Maybe it was last year they didn't put him in the. Either way, I like Arias out of those 3. I know. I believe we talked about Mateo a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, you guys did talk about when I was gone. You guys talked about him.
I mean, Mateo has speed, but I mean, I'm looking at it right now. He's batting 229 with a 288 OBP. He ain't getting on base. You can't run if you can't get on base.
So, well, I mean, his average did drop 21 points in a one game, or yesterday's game when he went 0 for 4. So we're still at that. He was batting 250, 270-ish over the last few games. But we'll go back to Arias. I like Arias. I want to hear what your thoughts.
I really like Arias in that he is going to give you average. He's going to be very consistent. Right now he's batting 14 games. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
364, 429, 477. So he's not going to get you a whole lot of power, but he will. I mean, he's going to get on base for you. He's at a 10.2% walk percentage to an 8.2% K percentage, and his strikeout percentage has always been low. So if you're in a points league and you have too many strikeouts, this guy is a good counter to that. This guy is going to be good to. He'll get you a lot of positive points and not a whole lot of negative points in terms of strikeouts. So if anything else, if you are having a lineup that's killing you in strikeouts, I would pick up Luis Arias just for that to kind of counteract the problem with the strikeouts there.
Luis Arias is someone that we have talked about a long time, Felipe, long time. And now he's finally getting, basically every day playing time. They don't know where they want to play him. He's borderline unplayable at third base. I was shocked to find out that I think he has played how many games at third base this year? He's played 5 games at third base in 2022. 5. He's already at a -7 outs above average at third base in 5 games. Yeah. It's rough. But we remember going into the 2020 season, the COVID year, and there was a Fangraphs article that me and Felipe talked about that Luis Arias had the highest probability of a 400 batting average season since the 50s. It was like something crazy. He ended up batting what was his average that year? 321, and we looked at that as a disappointment. And then he batted 294 last year. Obviously, I don't think he hits 364 over a whole season, but this is a guy who has 92 walks in 259 games and 92 strikeouts. And this year, he actually seems to be hitting the ball. It's not hitting it harder, but he's hitting it in such a way, more line drives, more fly balls, that we could see more than just empty average from Luis Arias this year. So the 477 slug, I might expect that to come down to 450, but a guy who's a 407 career slug, if he slugs 450, that's a huge year for him.
Oh yeah. And I think our guy, Matthew Nyland, up in Minnesota, part of a Baseball Life member, and he's in our league too, Austin.
Minnesota.
I'm sorry, what?
I said Minnesota, don't you know?
That's right. I don't know. No, but he did mention that the reason that the Twins are very wary of Arias and that he doesn't play as much, because he did bring that up, is they're concerned about his knees or something to that effect. So that's why they kind of try to preserve him. And he did struggle to get on the field last year, it seemed like. So I think I know where you're coming from there. But right now they're finding a spot for him all over the place. So that can only be so good. But as Sean mentioned, just because you're versatile doesn't mean you're good.
Yeah,
at the position you're fielding.
And if we go back, you mentioning the knees, I had completely forgotten about that with him. But he was one of the heroes of the Baseball Life Rockies that we did on Out of the Park Baseball, and he was great for 5 years. He had 230 hit seasons, I think 4 out of the first 5, and then he got hurt one time in the leg, and then he was gone. He never came back. His ratings plummeted because he didn't play for 2.5 years, and we were forced to trade him. But that first year, because he was batting in Coors Field with a 90 grade hit tool, and it was 370 seasons every year, and it was so much fun. But yeah, he does have bad knees now that I remember.
Well, if Minnesota's concerned about his knees, are they concerned about his head and shoulders and toes too?
Oh, you're getting into the act now too, huh?
You're a bad example, Felipe.
well, he's a teacher. I'm pretty sure he sings that song every day.
Right?
Listen, my middle school teacher used to sing that song to us whenever she saw that we were kind of very down on the dumps. Yeah, not down in the dumps, but not very enthused to be in her class, in her English class. Do I have to sing you guys a song so you guys can wake up from your doldrums? And everybody get up, and then she would sing the song, head, shoulders, knees and toes. And I tell you what, man, that would get our blood going. Didn't mean that we were better at being students, but definitely get our blood going. Woke me the hell up sometimes. Catholic school, man. See, the Catholic schools, they can do stuff that the public school teachers can't do. That's just how it is.
My dad he spent all of 1 year in a Catholic high school, and that was enough for him.
Well, we actually made it to the end of the list. So let's see. Let's quickly do the last 4 players I wanted to talk about that qualify under that 60% ownership rate. Jonathan VR, Sean, your favorite player.
Oh God. I saw he had a big game yesterday.
Everybody had a big game yesterday.
Yeah. And did they end up subbing out everyone from the lineup? Because that's how that game usually goes, is like every starter comes out of the game just about.
You had Cub fans talking about how we're going to get Alfonso Rivas more at bats.
Hey, I actually played Alfonso Rivas in several of my daily fantasy betting sites.
Bro, I didn't know Alfonso Rivas was on the team. I thought they were talking about Luis Rivas.
No, they had just called him up, I think, before yesterday's game. He's been up and down a couple of times because he had a really good spring, I want to say, Rivas did for the Cubs out in Arizona. But he was the cheapest third baseman available. And I was like, yeah, he's going to have a game. And I had him in a couple of them. I didn't make any money, but I won a couple of them. I lost my big ones, though, so that's no fun.
Well, Jonathan VR, man, still doing Jonathan VR things for the Cubs. He's playing all over the field. He's probably going to qualify at 3 or 4 different positions. Where does he qualify at the moment? He qualifies, according to CBS, only third base and shortstop, but he does play some second base as well. How's he doing this season? He
can't field.
No, well, we don't care about that right now. So he hasn't been producing, like, in terms of the power numbers. And he has 0 home runs, 1 stolen base, that's not why you get Jonathan VR. But strikeouts are down. He's hitting 350 with a 391 on base percentage and a 400 slugging percentage. Let's go over to the standards. So where's this power coming from? He only has 2 doubles, but you know what? He's just hitting everything in sight right now at the moment. No. So. And still don't like him, huh? Okay, how about this? Career high exit velocity at 91.7 miles an hour.
Yeah, that is something. That is something.
Hard hit rate is also way up there. So, it's Jonathan VR doing Jonathan VR things. So
Jonathan VR is a guy, and I've been saying this for years. He's good he's a good fantasy player, but he's like a good starter on a second division team.
Like the Orioles,
like the Orioles, the Mets last year. I mean, because the reason the Mets ended up where they were last year was Jonathan VR and Kevin Pillar both had over 400 plate appearances. And I said that from the very beginning. Like, if those guys have to play a lot, things are not good for the Mets. And Mets fans were like, no, Jonathan VR is awesome. He's exciting. Like, he hits home runs. He steals bases. And I'm like, yeah. And he gets thrown in at third at least once or twice a week. He's the most infuriating player. There's a reason the O's got rid of him after basically his second career year.
Yeah, pretty much.
I have a question. Do all Mets fans sound like Mickey Mouse?
Damn you, Mickey Callaway.
Was that really? No, they all sound like Mickey Callaway. That's the thing. Oh boy, but you gotta realize that Jonathan VR, he plays everywhere.
Yeah, that was the thing, was they were like, oh, Jonathan VR is such a good third base defender, because Keith Hernandez in the booth is like, oh, VR is such a great defender. And oh my God, he's never been a good defender. He still isn't.
Careful now. I test Keith Hernandez they're talking to. You better calm your tits there.
Well, Keith Hernandez, he got his tits lit. But no, Keith Hernandez is 68 years old. He can't even see the field. Come on now.
Hey man, that's a 1979 MVP. You better recognize. He made out with Elaine Bennett on Seinfeld.
Co-MVP.
Oh yeah. Who was the other guy? Was it Stargell?
Stargell.
Oh, okay.
The We Are Family Pirates.
Yeah. Back when the Pirates were relevant. Yeah. But somebody told me
this is like the anti-Pittsburgh podcast episode.
They bring it on themselves, man. They bring it on themselves. They you know what? Change your narrative. That's all I'm going to say about that. Who was it? Somebody brought that up. Somebody brought up like, hey man, something about fantasy. Their teams being so bad. Oh, it was Larry, wasn't it? Like,
no, I know what you're talking about.
He says he's gonna tank like the Pirates, and and he pissed me off so much. Well, it's a free league and everybody makes the playoffs. You know what, man? I don't like your attitude. Something to that effect. And I go, you know what? I would have been good if you would have said the 92 Pirates, but you're saying the actual current Pirates. No, Larry, no, we don't do that here. Next guy up I want to talk about before we call it quits, Andrew McCutchen, kind of having some sort of a renaissance up in Milwaukee. and I use that term kind of loosely, renaissance, but he's been getting some play. Austin, do you see any good things coming from Andrew McCutchen this year?
I've always liked McCutchen.
Yeah.
Just because I mean we know what he can bring to the table from his days when he was on the Pirates. He's 35 years old. I mean, yeah, he hasn't been in Pittsburgh since 2018, but I've always liked I've always liked just because he knows how to handle himself on the ball field. And he still has had past his prime, he still has had above average seasons. He still walks at a good clip. His strikeout percentage kind of goes back and forth. I think, he kind of loses his swing and then he brings it back. But I've always liked Andrew McCutchen. So if it seems like early in the season, Andrew McCutchen has kind of found his swing a little bit in Milwaukee. That Milwaukee lineup has not put it together yet. That it's kind of struggling offensively, which I kind of saw coming because last year it was not great either. Their pitching really carried them all season long. But I've always liked McCutchen. Would I have him as like my first choice waiver wire pickup? Probably not, but I would consider him. Yeah, I would consider him.
All right, let's quickly move on to the next guy, Max Stassi. Let's go with you again, Austin, since he is an Angels player. He's a catcher, 31 years. Jesus, 31 years old already. God damn. He's you look at his StatCast numbers and you look at the sliders, it's a lot of red. And then that one thing that's very disappointing, swing and misses, very high strikeout rate. But do you believe in Max Stassi being a viable catching option in fantasy leagues this year?
Defensively, yes. Offensively, no. I do not. I mean, he had that one good year in 2020. Was it 2020? Yeah, 2020. He had a good year. But other than that, I mean, in 2020, I'm looking at it right now. His walk percentage was the second highest in his career, and his strikeout percentage was the second lowest in his career. But then I said, after that 2020 year, I said, I don't trust one good year. I need to see another one. 2021 came around, 8.8% walk percentage, 31.7% K percentage, which is more of what you see from Max Stassi, right? He will hit for power, but that's his problem is he swings and misses a lot. When he hits the ball hard. But that's the thing is, when is he going to hit the ball? There are stretches where he does not hit the ball at all. And I think he's in the Angels lineup simply because he is a very good framer. He's a good defensive catcher, but he's a very good framer for the Angels. He handles that pitching staff pretty well. But offensively, I would not trust Max Stassi.
And all this talk about Goodyear makes me realize how much I like Pirelli tires. Last guy we're going to talk about here, Sean.
he takes 2 weeks off, and he comes back with this. Oh goodness!
What happens when I'm off? Get it out of his system. It's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, you guys missed 2 weeks worth of jokes of zany references here. Eric Hosmer, I saw him play last night. Did not look too good.
It was before last night that he stopped looking good.
No, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen him play on television like that. There was this showcase game last night, and he went 0 for 4.
Look good. That guy that got rocked in the face last night.
Ooh, somebody got rocked in the face.
Who was that?
At the Padres game?
Who was that?
The Dodger fans and Padre fans were fighting in the stands.
Oh.
And yeah.
Wait, who are they playing? The Dodgers?
Yeah.
Okay, that happens all the time.
Yeah, it happens all the time, but they caught a video, and this Dodger fan came in with he hit him hard. He went down on the ground. I was like, yeah, that don't look good.
Yeah, well, Dodgers have a
cue the GTA wasted.
Wait, so was that the Dodgers attacking the Padres fans?
I'm not sure what started it because it starts with the Padre fan putting up his hands and going, let's go. And then in 10 seconds, he ends up on his ass.
Yeah, because the Dodger fans have a reputation. I'll tell you that much. They have a reputation of getting into all types of
fisticuffs.
Thank you, fisticuffs against opposing fan bases. So
and hearsay.
Yeah. So Eric Hosmer, looked bad last night, but he's actually looked good, pretty darn good all season long. Still only owned in 31% of leagues, Sean, hitting 358 with an on base of 382 and a slugging percentage of 472. And has no home runs to show for it so far.
This might be the freakiest batted ball profile I think I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Ground ball percentage 51.2, fly ball percentage 2.3%, a 32.6 line drive percentage, and a 14% pop up. A 2.3 fly ball percentage. Have you ever even seen anything remotely like that, even in a small sample size?
I don't know, man. I only use Fangraphs. Fangraphs has
18.6%. Yeah, this is some. Well, I think they combine the fly balls and pop ups. Baseball Savant does pop ups as its own.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
I'm on Savant.
I'm telling you, I'm on Fangraphs, and I've never seen that low because I don't use Fangraphs. I don't know how Baseball Savant does their things, but it still looks weird on the Fangraphs site, only being at 18.6%. But at the Fangraphs website, according to them, Eric Hosmer's pop-up rate is 37.5%, which is just atrocious. And it's amazing that he still is able to hit for a very good batting average, despite the very high on pop-up rate.
Yeah, when you have the 32-minute or Savant-wise 32% line drive rate, that could buoy you a little bit. He is kind of hitting the ball hard. At least he had the hardest hit ball in the game last night. And guess what? It was an Eric Hosmer ground out, so nothing has really changed.
That's Eric Hosmer's swing, though. So if anybody was to have that batting profile, I would guess it was Eric Hosmer. Eric Hosmer has a very line drive centered swing. So he's going to hit a lot of balls on the ground. He's going to hit a lot of line drives. He's never, in my opinion, he's never been what I would consider a prototypical launch angle swing power hitting first baseman. He's way more of a line drive type of guy. He's going to hit the ball in the gap. He's going to hit the ball where they're not, and he's going to get on base. He's going to run into a few and hit very low flying home runs, but he's not going to hit that mammoth homer because his swing is very level and it's a line drive swing. So, if anybody was to have that batting profile, I would guess it would be Eric Hosmer. So it doesn't surprise me as much. It is weird to look at in the launch angle generation that we have now, and everybody's popping it up. So you don't see very many of these line drive swings, but with the swing that Eric Hosmer has, I'm not surprised.
But is it good for fantasy baseball purposes? Yeah. And is it? I'm really seriously asking.
I'm surprised his. Obviously it's a small sample size and whatnot so far this year, but his average exit velocity is way down. Like even when he was in his bad years, 2018, like basically the entire Padres contract, he was over 90.5 miles per hour on average EV. Granted, a lot of that was right into the ground, and his actual fly ball line drive EV, which I think is more important than just average EV, was always on the lower end among first basemen. But I'm just going back and looking at his page and remembering that first year in San Diego, where for an entire year he played would have been 157 games, and he had a negative launch angle over 157 games.
Wow. Expected WOBA about 327. So lots of flukiness going on with Eric Hosmer this season. So I guess I would say no, he's not worth a look or an ad.
The only time, and I've said this about Hosmer for a long time, is like he's a compiler. He's on the field. Like you're not going to get the best production, but that lineup right now feels really underpowered without Tatis in it. And everybody else is just kind of milling around waiting for Tatis to come back like they're all lost little puppies. But it's like when you look at the lineup, I like some of the names. Machado's having a good year. I like Trent Grisham, but Jake Cronenworth is kind of so-so this year. And I don't know.
He busted out last year, man. He busted out yesterday.
Oh, he did? Okay.
He had a home run against Tyler Anderson.
I mean, if you're like screwed at first, if you had I don't think there's any major injuries at first base so far. But like Eric Hosmer, if he's available, then I'd pick him up just because I know he's going to play every day and I'm going to get some runs and RBIs.
All right, let's quickly move on to the most drop. But okay, so here we go. I know I said we weren't going to do it, but we have a little bit of time left. Sean, pick a player from the most drop list. Just one player who you want to talk about in 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Lane Thomas. He does not need to be being dropped right now. He's actually getting moved to the top of the lineup. I would like to say I think he's been there the last 3 games. They have moved Cesar Hernandez out of the leadoff spot. And of course, this could be nothing, but Lane Thomas batting in front of Juan Soto, Nelson Cruz, and Josh Bell is a very good thing.
Wait, Lane Thomas is one of the most dropped players in the.
Yeah, he was at the very bottom. He was 17 to 14.
Oh, okay.
14%. So he needs to be, which is more owned than either of those 17, 14%.
Oh, fascinating. You know, I refreshed this thing right as we were starting. It's amazing how things quickly change in this fantasy game of ours. Austin, same question to you. Pick a player on the most drop list you want to mention.
What's the matter with Art Warren? I know he's hurt, but how long is he out?
I don't know. You got Art Warren too? I don't have. Oh, we're talking hitters.
Oh, hitters.
Pitchers is another week. Next week.
Let's see. Kyle Higashioka is definitely not the catcher for the Yankees. I would definitely expect. I don't know. It's the Yankees. They seem to like to stick with people that are not great until it's very obvious that they're not good. I mean, I would much rather invest in Jose Trevino than Kyle Higashioka, but I mean, so I think he rightfully should be dropped. He went from 23 to 16. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of players I'm looking at on here. I'm like, yep, should be dropped, but yeah, I think that's the one. Jonathan Scope, I think, is really interesting. Is he really having that bad of a year?
Let's take a look. I honestly don't know. But he's so far, according to the numbers here, 148 average, 207 on base percentage. That's why I don't like, going after him too heavily, because I know he's gonna get dropped anyway. But then you see these numbers and like, dang, man. But
and then Sean, we talked about him earlier. Josh Lowe dropped 4%.
Yeah, Josh Lowe is not having a good time right now. A lot of my players are not having a good time. I see a lot of my players are on the most drop list, and it's kind of screaming inside. You guys can't hear it, but I am definitely screaming inside myself. I got 2 guys, Gleyber Torres and Jaime Candelario. Those are in the Mardi Gras League, but I also those are guys on the Baseball Life League that I'm holding on to dear life for. But I'm gonna have to make some tough decisions coming up soon, as I can't keep riding that train for too much longer here. So, anyway, that's it. Sean, any last words before we call it a night?
No, I'll see you guys next week.
Austin, same question to you. Any last words?
Go check out my latest episode around Trippers. And other than that, you can find me on Twitter at @round_trippers. Other than that, have a nice weekend, everybody. As
always, we are here every Sunday morning at the Facebook Baseball Life group. Go check us out there. And check us out on Twitter. Sean has a Twitter. He'll post all our Twitters on the audio only accounts. I can't remember the Twitter accounts at this point. But let's call it quits. For Sean, Austin, I am Felipe. We'll see you guys next week.
Adios.